It was in 2020 when I made my first trend following system, and I remember it was in Nifty. By chance, started it in February. No idea COVID is about to come. COVID hits, market starts going down. I had bought puts when the market hit lower circuit, and I had been holding it from a day or two, I think. There was a profit of 1.5 lakh on each lot.
Before the BSE rally, valuation was around 5,000 crores. Mutual fund who is managing 1 lakh crore. Realistically, how much do you think they can put into a stock which has a market cap of 5,000, 6,000 crores? 500 crores, 10%, which itself is in a higher limit. BSE became 20x stock. 500 crores went on to become somewhere close to around 10,000 crores on a capital of 1.5 lakh crores, less than 10%. The same amount, if you put 10% of your capital, make your capital only grow into 2x, 3x. Just go to Nifty strategy indices. So now there is Nifty Alpha 50, Nifty 500 Momentum 50. Just pick the index methodology. You have a proper detailed description on how that particular index is created. And you see that a simple index like that is able to give a return of around 18 to 20%. Just pick that methodology, study on what basis they are building, and you are going to get tons of ideas on how you can start improving.
आजकल हर जगह एआई और ऑटोमेशन की बात हो रही है और ट्रेडिंग भी उससे कुछ अलग नहीं है। अगर आप डिस्क्रेशनरी ट्रेडिंग करते हैं और स्क्रीन के सामने कम टाइम स्पेंड करना चाहते हैं या फुल टाइम जॉब के साथ ट्रेडिंग को सिस्टमैटिकली स्केल करना चाहते हैं तो ये कॉन्वर्सेशन आपके लिए है। इस एपिसोड में अर्जुन और साकेत सिर्फ सिस्टमैटिक ट्रेडिंग के बारे में बात नहीं करते बल्कि बताते हैं कि एक बिगिनर इस जर्नी को कैसे स्टार्ट करें। आइडिया जनरेशन से लेके बैक टेस्टिंग, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट और एग्जीक्यूशन, हर स्टेप को सिंपल लैंग्वेज में ब्रेक डाउन करेंगे। तो अगर आपने कभी सोचा है कि मैं भी सिस्टमैटिक ट्रेडिंग कैसे शुरू करूं तो ये कॉन्वर्सेशन आपको एक प्रैक्टिकल रोड मैप देगी। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं।
साकेत, आप एक प्रोफेशनल ट्रेडर हो और जितना मैं आपको जानता हूँ आप एफएनओ तो करते ही आए हो, बट आई थिंक आप साथ में बाकी चीज़ें भी कर रहे हो। तो जो आपकी कैपिटल है वो कैसे डिवाइडेड है बिटवीन डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजीज?
So it starts with first investing. So in investing right now we have shifted to completely systematic investing for the last 1.5 years. All right. So it starts with allocation towards equity, which is between 60 to 80%. Then some to gold, some to debt. So it will always have all three, but in different proportion. Again, that decision itself is also a systematic decision. So it's not discretionarily I'm choosing to keep so much in equity and debt. Then everything is pledged. So after pledging, it's again, so diversification of multiple strategies, mostly non-directional. We trade positional, we trade expiries, we trade intraday. So we do a mix of Bank Nifty and Sensex mostly. So primary trading is in Sensex. We don't do much in Nifty. Right. So where we might allocate somewhere around 15-20% in positional trading. Then we use the remaining margin for intraday. So even at the peak, we might be using somewhere close to around 70-75% of our overall margin into intraday as well as expiry.
Okay. Yeah. And when you say investing, तो क्या ये pure investing है? Is it like complete buy and hold, या you are running some other strategies where you are churning your holdings?
Right. So we do churn. So even like how we have systematic trading in options. Right. So something very similar to that, where we usually the holding period is anywhere around 6 to 9 months. But we do get churning in some stocks. So it's not that we remove everything and churn the whole portfolio every single month. We might, let's say, replace 2 or 3 stocks which are not performing well with new stocks once a month or twice a month. So I think even you must be doing mostly in commodities and.
So primarily जो मैं कर रहा हूँ that is FNO तो है ही है, which is in हमारे indices. Sensex, Nifty, I do intraday. I do पोजिशनल में मैं बैंक निफ्टी करता हूँ एंड पोजिशनल में मैं निफ्टी का ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग करता हूँ। तो ये तो हमारे इंडाइसेस का रहा। इसके अलावा इन्वेस्टिंग एज यू पॉइंटेड आउट दैट आई एम डूइंग, बट अनलाइक यू मेरा मोमेंटम नहीं है। इट्स मोर ऑफ पैसिव ETF, स्टॉक्स या फिर म्यूचुअल फंड्स हो गया। एंड अ लार्ज पार्ट ऑफ माई होल्डिंग ये म्यूचुअल फंड्स में डेट में है। डेट में आई हैव लिक्विड फंड्स, आर्बिट्राज फंड्स similar to fixed return वाले funds and your G-Secs. तो इस सब में divided है। इसको pledge करके ये तो हम trade कर ही रहे हैं। But other than that, commodities में भी I am trading. So कमोडिटीज़ में आई यूज टू ट्रेड ऑन एंड ऑफ, बट पिछले साल जो गोल्ड सिल्वर में ट्रेंड आ रहा था, सो आई लुक्ड एट दैट एंड आई थॉट कि ये ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग के लिए बहुत ही बढ़िया अपॉर्चुनिटी है. सो आई स्टार्टेड सम ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग सिस्टम्स. अगर आप ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग में सुपर ट्रेंड यूज कर रहे हो कमोडिटीज़ के ऊपर, बहुत अच्छा चलता है, तो आप वो भी यूज कर सकते हो. तो कमोडिटीज़ में गोल्ड और सिल्वर, इन दोनों पे मैंने पिछले साल ट्रेड करा और रिटर्न्स, फैंटास्टिक रिटर्न्स लास्ट ईयर. तो दैट गेव मी एन आइडिया दैट ये मेरी एक परमानेंट स्ट्रैटेजी होने वाली है कमोडिटीज़ पे. सो ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग के बाद मैंने साथ में एक्सपायरी ट्रेडिंग भी स्टार्ट करी कमोडिटीज़ के अंदर. एक्सपायरी ट्रेडिंग मैं कर रहा हूँ गोल्ड में, दोनों गोल्ड में. गोल्ड बड़ा वाला होता है और मिनी होता है. सिमिलरली सिल्वर के दोनों होते हैं, एंड ऐसे ही क्रूड का भी होता है. तो यू हैव दीज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स. सो दिस इज इट. आई एम डूइंग लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्टफ.
So what do you want to get out of market? Let's say in our case, let's say maybe a year and a half ago, the expectation was something like 30% per annum.
Yeah.
With something like say 18 to 20% from options and 10-12% from equities. Now the expectation is more or less the same, but just the equations have reversed. So we are not going very aggressive with options. We expect around 12%, 15% from options, maybe around 18-20% from equities. Net, we want to get to the same goal of compounding at 30%. So you can maybe something like double your capital once in 3 years. So for you, what is the expectation out of the market?
So if I break component by component, ठीक है, मैं अपना बेस पे आता हूँ. So a good amount of that is parked in debt, जैसा मैंने कहा. तो एवरेज ब्लेंडेड 7%, 6 to 7%, 7% भी आ जाता है अगर मैं वहाँ पे निकाल लेता हूँ. सो अलॉन्ग विद दैट देयर इज एन इक्विटी कंपोनेंट ऑल्सो. तो ओवरऑल ये जो इक्विटी और डेट की ब्लेंडेड रिटर्न है, दिस कैन टच 9-10% टाइप्स. ठीक है. सो अगर यहाँ से आई विल राउंड इट ऑफ 10% निकलता है, एंड अबव दैट आई एम एबल टू जनरेट लेट्स से 20%, 18-20%. So it reaches close to what you are saying, which is a 30% number. So 25 to 30% पे compounding अगर होती है, तो that is good enough for me. But ये जो debt वाला portion है या जो underlying है, इसको I don't even look at it. इसकी return को.
Understood.
I just look at the returns कि what is FNO, which is my active trading. ये तो anybody will get this return, not just me. What I am able to generate, even though you strive for 30%, 35% आप करते हो, but if I'm generating, let's say, average 2% a month,
right,
I think that is a fair number for me. One more thing which I've realized, and it's been my principle, because how do you grow big in this game
right,
of trading especially, is that if you're able to compound your capital.
Correct.
Right? Now, in order to compound your capital, either you can have a curve, your portfolio curve or equity curve like this.
Correct.
Or you can have something smoother.
True.
Right? And for a smoother curve, you have to often let go of certain returns. Over a period of time, I realized कि मुझे जो returns हैं वो तो चाहिए, but I want least amount of variance. Downside जो है वो capped रहना चाहिए. So I work on a downside of less than 5%.
Got it.
And around 2 to 3%, I start reducing quantities.
Understood.
I have that kind of a thought process. So what I've been able to do is I've been able to compound it smoothly. And you know, there is a big psychological dent that you go through when you have bigger drawdowns. So I personally feel how much of a return can you generate without increasing your drawdown. So that is also something I work on. Saketh, I want to ask you one question. Did you start as a discretionary trader? Let's not say start, because everybody started like that.
Right.
When did you transition into systematic trading?
Right. So as I told you, somewhere during the time of the Jane Street time, where, so if you take a look at it, from March maybe until September, right? So I made no money in options.
Okay.
Right. So F&O was more or less flat. So we used to let's say lose 2-3% because the spikes were new. So we used to lose 2-3%. Yeah. The drawdown did go up till 7-8%.
Okay.
On the worst case, right? So every time we felt like, okay, we are just going to come, like just going to come above the drawdown. Again, it used to go down another 2-3%. So for almost a period of 6 months, there was no money made, right? So, and that was the time when I started to realize, okay, if no money is being made, then why am I sitting in front of the screen throughout the day?
Yeah.
Right. And then I also felt during the same period of time, right? So for what I'm doing, apart from maybe my trading style or whatever,
Yeah.
there is no real edge into what we are doing. Right. So if there is no real edge, and if all the return I'm getting is just because of the risk I'm assuming, right? So because I am not going directional, so directional will automatically give you an edge because you are trying to predict something.
Correct.
And if you're good with predicting, you will automatically have a edge over somebody who doesn't.
But
know.
is delta neutral also not a prediction?
Delta neutral is it's statistically it is in your favor. So somebody who is actually running delta neutral, he is running it irrespective of whether the market is trending, whether the market is let's say sideways. So this thing is, I want to make money from the option decay. So all he's doing end of the day is willing to accept the risk, so that market is going to reward him for the risk he's taking.
Right.
Right. So he is not going to bias his decision. So maybe, or let's say a systematic trader at least is not going to bias decision based on how the market is, whether there's a gap up or a gap down, or whether market is trending.
Right.
Right. So his reward is just based on the fact that okay, he is taking the risk from the buyer. So buyer is essentially, option is buyer transferring the risk to the seller. So he is getting reward as a compensation to it.
Okay.
So because he is doing that, he is getting some reward. And for realizing this reward, you don't have to actually sit in front of the screen, because you are not having any edge in terms of where you are able to predict the market. So let's say dynamically you are sizing up, sizing down your position. That's some kind of edge you are creating. Let's say you're calling a trend, that is some kind of edge you are creating. Right. So because you are trying to factor in some information which others need not be able to do it themselves. Right. But for a simple straddle and a strangle, right, it is just the reward you are getting to, because you are assuming the risk. And for this, right, you don't have to sit in front of the screen throughout the day. Right. So you can let the system assume the same risk and expect a similar kind of reward. And as it matures, right, so obviously more people are willing to assume the same risk. So the reward that you are going to get, because more people are coming and they're telling, okay, I am willing to take the risk, you can transfer the risk to me. So the returns that you can expect more or less also comes down. So Arjun, how do you look at it? Like, why did you transition into systematic trading, and how do you look at the whole thing?
Okay, so if I talk about 2016 or 17, so that is when I started doing a lot of options trading, especially in stocks, results, earnings. Okay, now earnings mein what I realized, there is data available. NSE bhav copy files are there, and I can get the dates jahan pe quarterly results पिछले quarters में announce हुए थे. So I used to download data, and if you've used Excel, there are features like Power Query, all of that. Back then I did not know Python, any of that. No backtesting tools were available. So I just put data in that. I collated data. I created big Excel files, everything linked. And I found out what happened if you shorted straddles or strangles before earnings and held them one day after earning, 2 days, 3 days. So that kind of stuff I did. Now, what I realized, that data gave me some confidence to trade.
Got it.
Right. That told me that if you'd held into this stock in the past 5 earnings out of 6, you made money. So obviously probability is in your favor that, you know, this is kind of working.
Got it.
And earnings are very uncertain, future might be different, but you get some idea about the behavior or the nature of the stock. So that is where I started getting confident about data, and more of my trading started getting based on data.
Got it.
It was in 2019 or 20, starting 20, when I made my first trend following system. And I remember it was in Nifty. And I created this positional trend following system. I started it with a very small quantity. And I, by chance, started it in February.
Okay.
No idea COVID is about to come, nothing of that sort. COVID hits, market starts going down. I still remember the day I had positions, I had bought puts when the market hit lower circuit. And I had been holding it from a day or two, I think. There was a profit of 1.5 lakh on each lot.
Okay.
Okay, and then I realized that had I not had a system, I
would
would
have booked
not
it.
have been able to hold on to this
correct,
position.
correct.
You just cannot. It's very difficult for a discretionary trader, at least what I feel, to hold on to very big trends. Right now, gradually, I kept building systems. During COVID, I learned how to code all of that, and dhire dhire I backtested more and more and more. Now I'm running completely automated systems. Everything is automated in-house. We have all our systems. बैकटेस्टिंग टूल्स हो गया, एग्जीक्यूशन का हो गया, सब खुद बनाया हुआ है. एंड इफ आई टेल यू क्या क्या ऑटोमेटेड है और किस तरीके से या क्या क्या सिस्टमैटिक है, इंट्राडे की जितनी ट्रेडिंग है 100% ऑटोमेटेड, 100% सिस्टमैटिक. ठीक है, आई डोंट नीड टू प्लेस एनी ट्रेड्स. अदर देन दैट योर पोजिशनल entirely automated. Coming to commodities, trend following because मैं futures में कर रहा हूँ, 100% automated. I don't take any manual decisions. Commodities expiry 100% discretionary.
Got it.
ठीक है, that is something I'm doing completely manually. But because वो महीने में शायद 5 दिन करना होता है, तो रात को I spend some 3-4 hours.
Got it.
And I just do it for the fun of it. And one more thing I do discretionary is that on expiry trading, I have allocated myself a certain risk, which I take in the afternoon.
Just for the fun of it.
To make some money.
Okay.
But I feel ki whatever capital is idle, because some of your trades, stop losses are hit. So you have idle capital. I deploy all that idle capital into very safe trades to generate a certain amount of
Got
money.
it.
So this is the kind of trading I do. But Saketh, you and I both have been trading systematically. What do you think should be the right approach in today's time for anybody to, let's say, transition from discretionary to systematic? How would you guide somebody?
So Arjun, mostly when you're transitioning from discretionary to systematic, you build your first system or hypothesis to test on first principles. Like, for example, I will just tell you how we started building. How can I try to outperform a mutual fund? So I cannot try to outperform a mutual fund with data, because they have best access to tech. They have best access to management. They can directly talk to management, then decide whether they want to invest or not. So the only way I can beat them is by doing something which they cannot. So for example, first one, they have a restriction of they can maximum have 10% allocation in a single stock, which means they have to end up owning nearly close to around bare minimum 10 stocks, and it goes to around 20, 30, 40 stocks. So the idea is, okay, can I build a concentrated portfolio? Next, because of their pure size, they cannot generate return on their total capital. For example, before the BSE rally, right? So BSE's valuation was around 4,000, 5,000 crores market cap, right? So a mutual fund, let's say, who is managing 1 lakh crore or 1.5 lakh crore, realistically, how much do you think they can put into a stock which has a market cap of 5,000, 6,000 crore? Realistically, say 500 crores, 10%, which itself is in a higher limit. Right? So now let's say he has put, say, 300 or 500 crores. So now this 500 crores, BSE became 20x stock, 20 bagger, 30 bagger. So now this 500 crores went on to become somewhere close to around 10,000 crores, assuming that he rode the entire journey from the bottom, right? So he made 10,000 crores on a capital of somewhere close to around, let's say, 1.5 lakh crore. All right. So how much does it really constitute to overall fund size? So less than 10%. So 1.5 lakh crore, and he is making 10,000 crores. Sorry, less than 10%. Right. So, but the same amount, if you put 10% of your capital into that particular stock, let's say you are having a capital of 1 crore, and you put 10%, which is 10 lakh into that.
You multiply your capital.
You literally make your capital only grow into 2x, 3x, whereas the fund is just making it grow by, let's say, less than 10%.
So that's an advantage for you.
So that is second advantage which you are more or less having in terms of these funds, right? So now the third advantage is the fund initially defines a category. Let's say I'm a large cap fund, mid cap fund, small cap fund. So what really happens is, once the fund defines the category, so 65% of the fund has to remain in that category. Let's say if there is a mid cap fund, so 65% has to be in mid cap, irrespective of whether mid cap is performing or not. right? So during the time of 2017, 18, 19, 20, 4 years, mid cap, small cap underperformed. Right? So large caps ended up performing well. A mid cap fund cannot move into large cap in spite of mid caps not performing. So they have that restriction. You as an individual don't have that restriction. So now another first principle is derivatives. So a fund cannot use hedges, right? So they cannot enter into derivatives. They cannot play with Nifty derivatives, but you can use derivatives for your benefit. And finally, the fifth one is, by default, a fund is always at a disadvantage because you will see peak SIPs at the top of the bull market, where these funds are forced to buy at a higher rate, and you see the peak withdrawal at the bottom of the bear market, where they're forced to sell at a lower rate. Right. By default, they're always at the disadvantage, where they're buying stocks at the highest valuation, selling stocks at the lowest valuation. So now if you start thinking about it, this is just one flow of thought, right? So if you start thinking about it, you will find a lot of first principles based on which you can start building the system. So you will have flexibility, you will have derivatives, you will have more better allocation to stocks. So upon this, if you base your system, so you can find easy ways to outperform the funds, right? So upon this, we started with simple momentum. Let's say a simple momentum system goes like, you don't have to do anything much. Just go to Nifty strategy indices. So now there is like Nifty Alpha 50, Nifty 500 momentum 50, Nifty 200 momentum 30. Just pick the index methodology. You have a proper detailed description on how that particular index is created. So what are the constituents, based on which the constituents is going to come into the index, what is going to be the weightage for that particular this thing. And you see that a simple index like that, a strategy index like that, is able to give a return of around 18 to 20% on since inception on a 5 to 7 year basis. Now just pick that, and so just pick that particular methodology, study on what basis they are building, and you are going to get tons of ideas on how you can start improving that particular system. You don't have to go anywhere away. Right, so that was how we started. Then we started like dwelling deep into momentum. What are the different ideas of momentum they follow? So you can study some small cases. You can study some momentum mutual funds. Right. So then you start developing your own idea. You can build those ideas as a layer on the first principle. So now you have a hypothesis to test. So that hypothesis you can test with AI in the current date, right? So it's very easy right now. Before you had to code it, like whatever we took maybe around 1.5 years to code, now AI can do it within a week or a month, like all put together, right? So that's been our more or less journey towards shifting from discretionary to systematic. So Arjun, like how we were discussing about the first principles of equities. So when you are building your option system, right? So what are the things that you look at?
First of all, for any system, you require entry. Let's say options mein. Before even entry, what are you trying to trade? In options, are you, let's say, catching direction? Are you going delta neutral, like straddle kind of a thing? What are you trying to trade? So let's say for a delta neutral strategy, I would like to first think when I would enter. Is it a time-based entry? Like I would enter every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, fixed time basically. Or I would rather, enter when I get a signal. So a signal can be based on multiple things. It can be based on, let's say, an indicator, a certain market condition getting true. Very simple example, gap up or gap down, your entry or exit gets triggered. Or let's say a breakout or breakdown. So when would you enter a strangle or straddle? So a time-based or on a certain indicator. An indicator, very simple example can be you are tracking the premiums, and if the premiums start breaking down, then you enter the delta neutral position. Okay. Now, second bit, अब आपको ये सोचना है and think like a discretionary trader, but in a systematic manner. You press the entry button. Now you're looking at the screen. What should be the thought in your head? The thought in your head should be that when do I exit if this goes against me, right? So you need to think about your risk management. And in your risk management, there are multiple components. A is your exit point, which is your stop loss. You have to decide how much risk or where I'm going to place my exit. It can be in percentage, it can be in points, or it can be again on a signal.
Right.
When you get an exit signal that if premium starts spiking up, you exit, right? And another component of risk management, as we know, is your position size, all of that, that how much money do I risk and how much quantity I need to trade. Once all of this is decided, and let's say the position starts moving in your favor, now you need to decide that where do I book my profits? Do I book it on day end, or do I book it when I get a certain amount of profit? So again, you have a branch like this. For a certain amount of profit, do I have a target or do I trail? So you have another thing to think through.
Yeah.
So basically you have all these decision points. इसको आप वो जो फ्लो चार्ट होता है उसमें समझो if else में आप क्या क्या conditions अपनी भर रहे हो. And once that condition gets true, you exit that condition. And similarly, you can create multiple parallel strategies for different kinds of markets or how you want to trade, like delta neutral, you can have trend, when do I enter trend? Right. You answer all these questions and create a flow chart. I think that is a good way to create a strategy.
Right. I think that's a fantastic starting point, Arjun. Like first putting yourself as a trader, think what would you do next and fix a rule to that and let the system take care of the rule.
But Saketh, I think there is one thing which people who do systematic trading, एक problem इनको सबको face होती है, including me, is that कि आपका कोई system चल रहा होता है, especially जैसे आजकल का market regime है, which keeps on changing very frequently. कभी मार्केट कैसी है, कभी मार्केट कैसी है, तो उतनी स्टेबिलिटी नहीं है स्ट्रैटेजीज में. तो आपको कॉन्फिडेंस उतना नहीं बन पाता कि मैंने जो स्ट्रैटेजी प्रैक्टिस कर ली है ये आगे चलेगी या नहीं चलेगी. आर यू ऑल्सो फेसिंग सम सिमिलर प्रॉब्लम, एंड हाउ डू यू लाइक इंश्योर कि व्हाटएवर स्ट्रैटेजीज आई एम रनिंग they are aligned with the current market? When do they require a change? How do you decide that?
So Arjun, like the primary motive of building a system or this thing is, let's say if I'm building a momentum system today, so I want to outperform the market. It is, I am not looking at it in isolation whether the system is doing well or not. System can come down, like, because if market is crashing, no equity system can be profitable, right? So you always see it in terms of let's say a relative term. Let's say what am I doing with respect to the market, right? So now you know that whether the system is working or not, whether it is able to beat the market or not, right? So now let's say first month you didn't beat the market, that doesn't mean that system is bad. Second month you didn't beat the market, doesn't mean that system is bad. Okay, so like let's say you build a system which automatically removes the stocks which are not performing and starts to replace with a new stock. Okay, now after a complete reshuffle of your portfolio, you move into the next phase where you have completely shifted your stocks, let's say from something which was not performing to some stocks which are all performing. In spite of this, right, so let's say the next set of measurable period, what you see, you're still unable to beat the market, right? So now you know that fundamentally something has changed, maybe with one or two reshuffles of your entire portfolio also. The stocks which are coming in might are maybe not able to beat this thing. So what might have more or less happened with equities? It's very simple. A regime might shift it from complete momentum to mean reversion, where a stock moving up will be pulled back towards its mean, right? So not that mean reversion will not work when momentum is working. Both can go side by side, right? So there will be certain stocks which will be mean reversing, and there will be certain stocks which will be in momentum. But primarily the stocks which are coming in momentum are unable to move up further and are continuously underperforming the market in spite of a 2-3 shuffle. So that is a first sign that, okay, in this current market regime, maybe the momentum system is not really working. So that is how I maybe look at it. Got it. So what would you do, Arjun? Like maybe let's say for your option trading. So what are your idea? Okay, this is maybe not working. Maybe I should reduce my exposure, replace the system.
Okay, so एक चीज़ जो आप follow कर सकते हो, which I tend to do, is that अगर आपका कोई system है, आपने एक strategy develop कर ली और वो strategy आप market में live deploy करते हो. लेट्स से पास्ट कुछ महीनों में आपने देखा सिंपली कि एवरेज 2% आती है स्ट्रैटेजी में, और लॉस जो है दैट इज ड्रॉडाउन 5% के आसपास रहता है. नाउ दीज टू नंबर्स are something which I keep in mind. More than return, I keep drawdown in my mind. So whenever that your actual drawdowns start coming closer to that number or exceeding that number, then I tell myself that there is something happening in the current market which has not happened in the past, right? So you need to make certain changes. Now, what changes can you make? One change can be to reduce your quantity in that particular strategy or set of strategies. You start reducing your exposure till the time that drawdown starts recovering. Okay. The second thing can be you relook at the systems and again backtest on a longer period, including the current period, and try and tune the parameters. So these two things I usually tend to do.
Got it.
Or research more and find something else. एक systematic trader जो भी है, that person needs to keep on,
True.
inventing or testing new ideas. So Saketh, discretionary traders जो होते हैं, they look at charts, okay, और live market से जो भी उनको feedback आ रहा होता है या screen के आगे जो दिख रहा होता है, उसके basis पे वो अपनी trading को adjust या improve करते रहते हैं. जो भी एक systematic trader है, उसके लिए data is the only thing which he gets. So you take data, whatever is coming, and you also see कि markets आपके systems को कैसे ट्रीट कर रहा है, क्या वो कैप्चर कर पा रहे हैं मार्केट के मूव्स जो आप इंटेंड करते हो, डेल्टा न्यूट्रल हो या डायरेक्शनल हो. अगर वो कर पा रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो वेल एंड गुड. अदरवाइज नहीं कर रहे तो आपको ये देखना है कि वो कहाँ फेल हो रहे हैं, और वो देखने के लिए आप भी चार्ट्स देख सकते हो या आप डेटा को उठाओ और डेटा के ऊपर दोबारा बैक टेस्टिंग कर सकते हो. नाउ एक सिस्टमैटिक ट्रेडर का आई पर्सनली फील ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप स्क्रीन देखोगे ही नहीं, क्योंकि स्क्रीन देख के आपको बहुत सारे आइडियाज और मिलते हैं, इन द सेंस कि आप चार्ट्स वगैरह देख रहे हो या यू आर लुकिंग एट मार्केट्स लाइव या डे एंड पे. सो यू टेक दैट फीडबैक इनटू अकाउंट, बट आप उसको अपने सिस्टम्स को इम्प्रूव करने में यूज करो. सो आई थिंक दैट इज अ फीडबैक विच अ सिस्टम ट्रेडर नीड्स टू टेक, और वो धीरे धीरे आप मार्केट से ही आइडियाज लेके आप अपने सिस्टम्स को इम्प्रूव करते चले जाओगे.
So, Arjun, let's say today somebody wants to start with his systematic trading journey, right? So, the first question he will have is, where can I get the ideas, or is there any resource where I can build my base ideas?
Yeah.
So, if there is something, if somebody asks you this, right? So, what would you suggest?
Okay, तो बहुत सिंपल सी मैं आपको 3-4 चीज़ें बताता हूँ. हमने साकेत बात करी कि आपको AI यूज़ करना है, GPT, Claude, कुछ भी आपको यूज़ करना है, यू कैन यूज़ दैट. फ्री वर्जन यूज़ करते हो चलेगा, गेट स्टार्टेड विद इट. दूसरा, फॉर आइडियाज़ यू कैन ऑल्सो फाइंड लॉट ऑफ कंटेंट ऑन यूट्यूब. जस्ट गो टू गुड सोर्सेज, फाइंड स्ट्रैटेजीज या कुछ आइडियाज़ जिसको आप टेस्ट कर पाओ. अगर आपको सिस्टमैटिक ट्रेडर बनना है तो आपको हमेशा ये सोचना है कि कैन आई क्रिएट रूल्स around this idea.
Correct.
Right? We always think in rules.
Correct.
Entry, exit, stop loss. We always have this in mind. So try and frame rules around that. And third, you want to test those rules on data. Now, data you can get through APIs also. Otherwise, if you want free sources for data, just go to GPT or Claude and tell it कि I want to use Yahoo Finance to download data for any given stock or whatever it is. It will help you create a Python script. Just say you can download data free of cost for any instrument you want. Just tell the AI then that you have this idea and to backtest it. For more ideas, there are very good resources like options के बारे में. If you want to learn, there is Tasty Trade. I love that resource. Some people like to look at research papers for new ideas. And I think, but more than that, it's how much you torture data, how much you keep testing stuff, and how much you look at screen.
Right.
So that is what matters. But all this is a good starting point, I think. So I think, Saketh, yeah, you've given some very valuable points. And
Likewise, Arjun. Actually, your perspective.
This was more of a discussion which we have post markets,
Right.
3:30. And I hope for anybody who's watching this, they got a good input, some inputs on how to get started
Right.
with systematic trading.
Right.
And as you gave examples, momentum वगैरह के systems कैसे build करने हैं. So some good starting points for that.
Definitely, Arjun. And I second your point on where you can get started is definitely good momentum trading ideas. You can just put in AI, ask how you can build a simple momentum system, and use your first go-to as that, and start creating your systems.
Great. Thanks for joining us,
Yeah.
Saketh. Wonderful talking to you.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Please read the risk disclosure documents carefully before investing in equity shares, derivatives, mutual fund, and or other instruments traded on the stock exchanges.